Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to This is MLS, and happy Decision Day almost eve. I'm Andrew Wiebe with the boys, Dax McCarty, Bradley Wright-Phillips. I almost called you the lads. I drank about 15 cups of coffee just to get on Kevin Egan's level. So I'm gonna do my best, boys, to keep that sort of vibe going here. But this is the best time of the year. We're almost there. We're almost the MLS Cup playoffs. Just one day left. Bradley Wright-Phillips, how you feeling? How you doing, my man?
Decision Day, my guy. What's up, Weebs? Good to have you, man. One day, hey, Decision Day, man. I'm just looking forward to that. I cannot wait. That's the best day of the season. I love all MLS play. I love what happens throughout, but Decision Day is where it really happens, man.
If there's one day that you can surmise and sum up MLS's chaotic nature, it is Decision Day. There's nothing but chaos that happens. You cannot predict anything. And still plenty to play for a bunch of teams. The West is wide open for those play-in game spots. Yeah. 4 teams can still make it. The East is sewn up with the playoff spots, but they're jockeying for position. A couple teams need to fight to try to get into that top 4, and some teams to avoid the play-in game. Plenty at stake. Chaos. It's exactly what defines MLS, Weebs.
Hell of a decision, Dax, to put you and I on this show. We're subbing in here. We're just making sure there's competition. Look, we don't want training to get, you don't want to let you guys take your foot off the gas pedal, Brad. So
they brought in the DPs. They brought in the DPs. They needed summer transfers.
Maybe not me. I'm on the supplemental, but I'm coming in studs up on you fools, ready to make it happen here. Now, listen, Decision Day. Before we get to Bradley Carnell, Brad, I'll get you in here. Don't worry. Just got to let the people know because we've got some big time coverage this weekend. I'll be watching you guys on Countdown, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. Full 90 minutes to guide you into Decision Day, 6 p.m. Eastern time, or the Eastern Conference games, all at one time, all the stakes, all the seeding to play for in those games, plus a little bit more we'll talk about later. 9 p.m. Eastern, the Western Conference games go down. MLS 360 throughout for all the live goals, standings, etc. You get to see the table just shift in live standings. And then, of course, MLS wrap-up at the very, very end. We have Bradley Carnell coming on the show. Please get in the comment section. I'm monitoring it. We'll ask some questions if you got good ones in there. So looking forward to talking to the Supporters Shield winning head coach of the Philadelphia Union. And we got much more to talk about, including some cool stuff in the international break, etc. Now, Brad, I interrupted you. I ball hogged there a little bit.
No, you were good. I was just going to say a terrible joke. You're good, man. I was going to say that I'm the most experienced one on this show, and I'm not leading the ship, so it says a lot about me, That's how much they think of me.
Look, listen, you're there for the final touch. It's the final touch, Brad. And speaking of final touches, I want to take you to a far-flung land in World Cup qualifying, out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of Africa, Cape Verde qualifying for their first ever World Cup. Our very own Steven Moreira, part of this win, started it right back, the Columbus Crew player. Jamiro Montero, if we want to have a Union throwback, also in the group. Cape Verde, 525,000 people. It is the smallest ever World Cup qualification country in terms of size. I mean, we're talking about volcanic islands just popped up in the middle of the ocean, and second smallest in terms of population. Look at this. I'm told they partied in the stadium for literal hours after the game and then took it downtown in the capital. I can't imagine what this would be like. This is like a crowning achievement in your entire life as a country.
Unbelievable achievement. You said it, population of just maybe 500,000, just to give the country something like that. Just think about all the kids and people that they're inspiring for the future. They're going to go down as legends. You mentioned Steven Moreira, good friend of mine, played with him at Columbus. Couldn't be happy. I sent him a nice message, but what a moment. Those pictures are amazing to see. You always want to be over there partying with them in that stadium.
That's exactly what I thought. You want to be over there partying with them. And to be honest, guys, with the new expanded World Cup, I was a bit of a pessimist when I first heard about the news because it felt, I don't know, it felt a little bit like too many people were going to get invited to the party. But now you see those types of scenes, a country with so much pride, and that's so small. And you get to see what it means to people to be able to go to a World Cup for the first time representing their country. Because it was very difficult to qualify for, the World Cup for the last, 30, 40 years, however long it's been. But honestly, seeing those scenes right there, it makes me a little bit happier and a little less pessimistic about an expanded World Cup to know that teams like this, countries like this, people that might not get to otherwise experience seeing that their nation represented there, that fills me with a ton of joy. I wish I was over there and could have celebrated with them. That's great. Congrats to Steven Moreira and Cape Verde.
Dax the bouncer. No more in. We've got enough. We don't need any more teams in here. All right. Hey, listen, different tournament for you, different day. By the way, 50-year anniversary of the independence of Cape Verde from Portugal. On their 50th anniversary as a country, they make the World Cup. They were all saying normally we go for Portugal. Not so in 2026, Cape Verde doing their thing. Speaking of the international break, one guy who never skipped out, boys. You see this? There was some question marks about Lionel Messi in Argentina. And then both games got moved to South Florida. And he was like, you know what? I think I'll just put it on Atlanta United this weekend. How about I do that? How about I shore up my MVP case and also get us 3 points? And then, by the way, did you see this? His Argentina teammates in the crowd celebrating as their boy goes nuclear.
Hey, this man just said, I want to win the Golden Boot. Let me break out a national team camp, get myself a brace, just shore things up, get the trophy. Brilliant goal, by the way. Good 2 goals and an assist. He was unbelievable. But you said, both teams in Miami, that seems like it was, done on purpose for the GOAT.
Yeah, this was
what we think
when as soon as I saw Messi in the lineup, you knew that he was going to score. Atlanta United's had a tough season. It's a makeshift team at this point for Atlanta United, and they had so many guys away on international duty. So, look, you get a lot of young players, some experience for Atlanta United, but Messi, he was always going to feast off of this back line. Unfortunately for Atlanta United, but fortunately for Miami fans and for Lionel Messi, I think that's the Golden Boot sewn up. I think that's MVP sewn up.
Dax,
and
did
the
he do it
vibes
for
are
that
great
reason?
with Argentina.
Did he do it for that reason, Dax? Did he say, listen,
maybe,
this is where I can get the Golden Boot.
Listen, Brad, he's given away penalties. Like he's passing up opportunities for other players to get on the board. He said, "No, you know what? The Golden Boot is something I haven't won yet in MLS. It's mine now."
Let me go get that.
He sees Denny in the rearview mirror, and he's like, I've been sitting in third gear. I think we'll drop it down and put a little bit more tire on the pavement here. I talked to Denny before he went to Gabon, and he said, this is unfair. I'm missing 2 opportunities to stay with Messi. I know how much he wanted the Golden Boot. One more in Colorado. We see if he can do it. So much at stake for them. But one group for whom there is nothing at stake in terms of the standings, in terms of seeding, is the Philadelphia Union. They are number 1. They are your Supporters Shield winners for 2025. They are your top seed in the Eastern Conference. They are the club who will host MLS Cup should they get there. And we are absolutely delighted to be joined now by the Supporters Shield winning manager of the Philadelphia Union. Bradley Carnell is with us. Bradley, congratulations. Brad? A little round of applause here for a huge accomplishment.
How we doing, fellas? All right?
Very good. Very good. I love the celebrations. I personally gravitated toward the image of Ali Bedoya with the cigar, like bleeding from his face. I thought that was about as fitting an image a Philadelphia Union winner can get. And I wonder for you, as you were bouncing around in the celebrations, what are the images that just freeze in your mind that you'll hold with you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I just think the Bedoya image. I think Lukic on the ground, just soaking it all in. Just the fans, the last 5 minutes of that game was just a different buzz, a different energy, and they got us over the hump at the end there. So that was amazing. It was like you said, it's like typical Philly, the grit, the bloody nose of Ali, the catch of Blake at the very death, took it out of the clutches of Freeze. I mean, it was so picturesque. Everything that happened was like picture perfect on the night, and glad we got to sort of pick up that shield,
Amazing. Brad, at what point in the season was the Shield a reality? Like, was there a game you think back to and said, you know what, I think we can do this here?
No, I mean, obviously we go down 2 games back to back. I think Columbus and into Miami, earlier, like middle of the season type of thing. And we bounce back and then we go on a nice little run again. So every time we took a step backwards, we jumped, we found a way to fight back. And then I look at the month of May. Brad, the month of May, to go unbeaten all through the month when we had, guys away, we had injuries, a couple of guys, a couple of problems, and everyone, in our depth really got tested. And to see everyone come out on top and everyone thriving in the moment and enjoying the moment and just bringing the group together, and that was when I thought, man, this is really a special group through that window there. And we go 13 unbeaten, which, is a couple of teams. I think Nashville also went 13 unbeaten in that stretch as well, or just after us. Incredible just to be part of that one. And then to continue that. And at the end of it, I mean, we matched day 33 and we've lost 7 games. So, and then being, comparing to other teams, like Miami's also lost 7 games, or a couple of teams under 10, is just an incredible achievement from the group.
Brad, I'm sorry. I have to take you back to the celebrations because this image just popped into my head. You in the locker room with the shield, and it seemed like you were playing peekaboo. Were you playing peekaboo with Kevin Sullivan? I know he's really young, okay, but were you playing peekaboo with Kevin?
I've never. Well, that's the PG stuff that was allowed in the locker room. With Kevin around, we have to keep PG.
I tell you what, that was great, man. Those were great scenes.
My favorite one was Chuchu Jesus Bueno in the washing trolley, being pushed around by Danley, and there were a couple of guys. Yeah, there were some things on that evening that I'll never forget. So yeah,
amazing. I gotta say, man,
it was really nice to see the celebrations, fully deserved, and you could see what it meant to. Well, not just you, but the entire club, because the last Supporter Shield, you guys weren't able to celebrate it in front of your fans. I think it was only 2,000 or 3,000 that were able to be there with you guys. And so, look, hand up, I was a doubter all season long. I didn't think that you would be able to replace the core that you lost, and you did it in fine fashion. But I want to hit on just one thing where you guys lost 7-0 to the Vancouver Whitecaps, and I thought that could have been a catastrophic result for your psyche, your mentality for the group. But I'm just curious because you followed it up, I think, a couple days later within a 6-0 demolition of DC United. Yeah. As far as you're concerned as a manager, what's your message to your group after such a, I guess I would call it humbling defeat?
Yeah. Well, I think the beauty of it was like, whether it's scheduling or just, we flew to Vancouver, had to fly straight to Nashville in the Open Cup semifinals. So we had no time to dwell. We had no time to think about it. We had no time. We flew to Nashville. We arrived. We went onto the training ground. And this is where, like, this group's really special. The buy-in of these guys to get them off an airplane and to train at 8 p.m. at night on the Nashville training grounds. And actually, Kai Wagner was the guy at like 9:30 being like, hey, guys, we got to get to the hotel for dinner. Everyone was staying in there. Everyone was playing extra games. Everyone was just not having fun. I mean, we just got whacked the day before, but guys were over it. There was good camaraderie. There was some fun. And, I'll share a video if I'm with you, at one point, just on that training ground, what it meant to us just to be as a group of guys again, just on the training field. We're doing what we love to do. And then, that Open Cup game didn't go according to plan, and we get an early goal on a long throw in on a set piece. So we went through a little spell where we were a little bit vulnerable on set piece. So we bounced back 1-0 against New England, and then the 6-0 against DC. And then I think the last 5 out of 6 have been clean sheets. So, just to show the toughness. And I mean, what a record that would have been, or, to finish up still after Charlotte. Hopefully that goes well as well. Just in terms of keeping the scores tight, in terms of, goal differentials and stuff like that. But, 33 goals conceded, which, is a goal a game. Our target now as a group is to be under a goal a game, so we're looking for that clean sheet come Charlotte.
Brad, did you talk to your guys about the Shield in preseason? Like, was this a on the whiteboard goal that you were talking about, or did it just materialize? And then once it was real, how do you discuss it in the facility?
Yeah, we spoke about, I think it was 16 wins for a top 4. We were thinking top 4, like a home playoff match. The guys spoke about this, and they gave us their targets, the players, the staff gave, and we kind of married them between the two. And whether it was clean sheets or whether it was points or wins or away wins, home wins. So we did like a whole deep analysis as a group, the players and staff, and we kind of married the two together, find our averages and set these targets. And then we broke them up into, I don't know if you guys, we follow, like we broke them up into like 5-game blocks. So we had like 7 5-game blocks throughout the season. And we set ourselves objectives, and we didn't look past those 5. We looked in the very first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then see how we wrapped up. Some guys, or sometimes we had 10 points through those 5 games. Sometimes we had 12. Sometimes we had 9. And we've been just on par, and we've set ourselves like internal KPIs. So, just in terms of the adaptability of the group to learn new things and to grow with like being pressurized, not by ourselves, but by the KPIs that drive us every single day. And it sounds like maybe nerdy, to look at the data and stuff like that. But we find a way to drive performance through data, which translates it onto the training field. So, but to get the group to understand that is a big mission, and it's a big compliment to the group to be open to these types of, I would say, performance pushers throughout the season.
Brad, I played on some great MLS teams, a couple Supporter Shield winning teams, but it was really easy for me to identify who our team MVPs were. It was always Bradley Wright-Phillips or Sacha Kljestan or Thierry Henry. Like, that was really easy to say, look, this is our team MVP. I look at your group. I look at who you guys have. I could identify maybe 6 players that, in my estimation, all have a really good argument and shout to be your team MVP. Now, I think I know which direction you're going to go with this, but to me, is that something that you knew going into the season, where you had so many high-level caliber players that you could rely on so many different players at a time? Or is there a guy that maybe we, are underestimating, who you are for sure like, this is our team MVP this year?
Yeah, I think, it is really difficult, to be fair. And just thinking about how we started the season, coming in as a new coaching staff, knowing Atai Bariba was here, didn't have a ton of game time, but had some goals. Danley was here with the group, didn't really feature much. Makanya was here, didn't feature at all. Frankie Westfield was 30 days away from agreeing to a college deal, spoke to Ernst, and Ernst was like, you come to preseason with us type of thing. Like, that's the story that, behind the scenes, he had agreed with Penn State, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, and then just to see these guys in preseason, like, just grow and flourish and thrive within a principle-based environment. But to name one would be really tough. But I think Jacob has to be given a lot of credit. Jacob Glesnes has to be given a lot of credit for the type of season he had last year, for the injuries he had last year. He had a fix-up surgery in January before preseason. We were wondering, how is this going to go? Just by him dedicating his body, his time, everything, commitment to the group, has rewarded him in an all-star year type of thing. So, and then obviously Kai Wagner is another one. So I'm looking like more from the defensive point of view, because I think the defense as a structure, to give us a platform to score goals, to work in transition, I think you first have to have a good, sound structure defensively. So, and then we could add through the Sixers have been amazing. Danley and Jovan Lukic. It's really tough. And I'm so happy that it's gone that way, because nobody saw us as anything. And the players were unsure where their future lie, And the more
Brad, I got to say,
yes,
I think you're the tiebreaker here, because BWP came out with an article saying Jacob Glesnes is Defender of the Year. I've argued that Owatu Makanya is Defender of the Year in Major League Soccer. So it's a toss-up, honestly, because I think they've both been excellent, but you might have just put the nail in my coffin.
Yeah, listen, and I don't think any of the guys saw themselves as one better than the other. I don't think to see Jacob on today's training ground, with nothing's on the line, just to win a training game, like it's incredible, the training environment here, the competitiveness of the group, just to see them every single day and then to see them get rewarded is pretty cool. And, I said to the players before the last game, you never know when these type of moments come around. You take it as automatic, like, oh yeah, we set up the expansion in St. Louis and we won. Oh, it becomes normal. We should expect to be competitive and to win. But man, it's difficult to win in this league. Grateful for the guys, accepting, the way we play and accepting who we are and just sticking together as teammates. But in a year where we lose 2 of our best players on paper, Jack McGlynn, Danny Gazdak, and then credit to Ernst for having a vision, to seeing the bigger picture, and to see it unfold, a week before decision day is incredible.
Brad, quick one from me on buying. I really got to give you your credit on this. First season at St. Louis, you win the West. You get to Philly after they lose a legend of a manager. You win the Shield. How do you get buying so quick? Is there a trick you have?
Yeah, I never try to do the same thing. Like, I just try and be me, and almost bring the bridge between a player and a coach somehow, just to bridge that and to understand what they're going through as players, but also to drive performance and to drive, discipline or training environments and what have you. And I think Andre said it best in his post-game comments. I think it was like, we reward performance. We don't care who you are, what status you have, how much you earn, if you're a DP, no DP, we reward performance. And I think that's what sort of opened up to the guys and be like, all right, if I really train in a really disciplined environment and really perform every single day, I'm going to get a fair shot at playing. So, and I think that's some of the things that maybe stood us differently, or in my approach. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Brad, as I reflect on this journey and watch sort of the celebrations unfold and everything that happened for you, and then think back to St. Louis in that first year, I wonder about your personal journey over the last 16 months, like emotionally, the ups and downs that you've had. What were you thinking as you reflected on that and these hours, minutes, days after you get to the mountaintop, you win the Shield?
It's tough. It's very, very emotional. You get ripped around as a coach, and I understand the beast of the business we're in, and we love it when it's high. And Dennis Hamlet always said, never too high, never too low. Just always even keeled. And when I got let go of St. Louis, I was like, all right, no time to dwell and be in your sorrows and whatever. No, don't get too low. Just carry on and build to the next project. And a couple of interviews later throughout the end of last year, but there's that one interview that says, this is the right project. This is the one that resonates with me. This is the environment that I feel could be applicable to me. So stylistically, there was a few things that we had to ramp up and dial up, just in terms of being on the front foot a little bit more, defending higher up a little bit more. But I felt like this could be my living room. And I think from day one, I looked at this environment and I said, man, we found the right place.
Brad, what is the message to the group going into what's surely going to be one of the most competitive Eastern Conference playoffs that in recent memory? I look up and down the East, whoever's qualified. Yeah. Any team can beat any team, in my opinion, honestly. It's such a competitive conference. You guys earn the right to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs and then potentially host MLS Cup if you get there. What is the message, knowing what you know from your time in St. Louis and a disappointing playoff exit to being the Shield winner? Do you have to adjust anything? Is there a messaging thing that you have to adjust, knowing it's a totally new season?
No, I think it's just about keeping the group healthy. Obviously we lose Quinn 2 weeks ago on his ACL, which is not great. Raffanello goes down, who's been a big depth piece for us this season. We can always count on Jeremy to come in and do his thing, to lock down a game in any position. He did a man marking job on Carlos Hill at the end of the game. He did incredibly well. Carlos Hill has 0.0 XG on the day. So, when asked to do a job, I think everyone could do the job. But looking at in the playoffs, I don't want to change anything, but I know it's on any given day. You could have a stomach bug. You could have some guys having an outbreak, whatever it could be on any given day. And I know the realities of that. And we just have to tackle that as it comes. But again, I'm not going to go into the crystal ball and think and trying to come up with scenarios. It is what it is. You have to bring it on that day. And, on the law of averages, we've done it 20 times this season. We've done it 11 or 12 times at home. We've got the result. We've only lost once in 17 at home. So you go on the law of averages and say, hey, man, we have a home field advantage, and we have to keep on reminding the visitors how we do our business.
It sort of feels like this team pulls on some brass knuckles, Bradley. And watching you on the sideline on Sunday Night Soccer, I feel like you absolutely enjoy that. How much does this sort of style and this team identify with who you are as a person, but as a player and just deep down inside of you?
Yeah, growing up in the south of Johannesburg is not, people hated coming to the south of Johannesburg to play a soccer game. So, and I've always kept that through me. It's always been part of me, my upbringing, my soccer DNA, the soccer culture. And then you marry that with, where you've played in some of your journeys throughout Europe and whatnot, and some of the coaches, and then the Red Bull game model, the Ralph Rangnick story comes to fruition, and to being part of that, and to be blessed to be part of the Red Bulls in 2017 and given that shot. You have to be, and to find a job, and to find a job that you resonate and live daily for. That's how you play whatever, chess with your family, or Monopoly. You're so aggressive playing Monopoly with your family, you just want to win. And I think that's what I do. This is just who I am, and we just want to win the games. And to be part of this environment, this town, this city, who understands it, it makes it almost that much easier for me, because you don't have to be somebody you're not.
I need to know about these family Monopoly games. Were you just sitting on Park Place and Boardwalk? You just charging rent? Like your daughter comes through and you're just like, pony up. Where's the money?
Buying everything and then not even selling. You're just hoarding. Really aggressive.
Oh, that's good stuff.
My daughters hate playing the Monopoly game, the family Monopoly games. But yeah, it's just who I am. It's just what it is, and I just love doing what I do. Yeah.
I need to talk about the aggressive side. There's two of the most aggressive people on this call right now, on this Zoom, with us, and that's Dax and Bradley Carnell. Those two people are very competitive, so he's not lying. Brad, I want to talk a bit about what Dax said approaching the playoffs. Me and you, we were at Red Bull together 2018. We win the Shield, but you know how difficult it is to go on and now win a cup. Have you learned anything from that time? Is there something you'll take from that experience and maybe bring for this season?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously there's the seeding, right? You don't know who's the 8 and 9. I mean, there's 4 teams that could potentially, that we're going to face. So we don't want to get ahead of the game too soon. We just have to now sit back and observe. We've had, 2 reps against each opponent so far this season, Nashville 3, counting the Open Cup. So, and then some opponents, you really have a tendency to be like, all right, this could be going one way where we favor this type of opponent and other teams might fear that opponent. So, there might just be a blend of, and hopefully we get an opponent that we feel that we can, really do well against. But like I said, I don't want to really put too much thought into it right now. I don't want to, because you go down the rabbit hole, you'll get stuck in there.
Do you practice PKs at all? I mean, these first round games, you're not going to extra time. Like the win, the all important result could come down to PKs.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty long Open Cup run, so through that we did, and we found out a couple of key penalty kick takers by us. So I feel, we train with provocational rules every single day, whether it's one touch finishes with 2, or set pieces only taken with the foot. So it's almost like so really all different throw-ins or kick-ins, or we mix things up in training, and sometimes to end a day where it's tied, we go to the PK spot. So even on a random day, on a match day -4 or 3, we could go to PKs. Yeah, so just giving how the day goes, but I feel we get enough reps.
Brad, I know your humility is inspiring, honestly, but I want to put you on the spot. Is MLS Coach of the Year something you're thinking about? Because for me, there's 3 candidates that are so clearly ahead of the pack of everybody else. You're absolutely included in that. Is it something that's on your mind that you're thinking about? And I guess to deflect, praise to yourself, what other coach in Major League Soccer this year have you been most impressed with? Just how they've set their team up, or something specific from a coaching angle?
Yeah, first question, I think you just have to get to do your job, right? If you believe in a certain way and you're able to do your job, then I think that, there's a pathway to be successful, right? So, I found that in 2023 in the beginning, and I found it to hit the ground running and being able just to do my job, right? So do I think about it? To be in the mix of almost like adopted into the US culture or into the US soccer landscape, I think, and listen, I mean, I'm very proud to be here. I'm very proud to work in this environment. I'm very proud to be part of the league. And it's already 8 years now. So, time flies. But to be in the reckoning of coaching statuses or coaching elevations or something, it's not something I never really thought about. But if you're able to do your job and you're able to do it well, then you will get rewarded. So whatever comes will happen. The stones will fall whichever way they may. And then I know what it takes to set up an expansion team. And then Mikey goes and blows it out the park. Mike has done a great job. I know they spent a hell of a lot more money than St. Louis did in 2023. But still, just to bring that first group together and just to perform at the level they do and to stick to what they do. But probably the coach that I have the most admiration for is probably BJ. BJ Callahan. So to see, and maybe it's biased, the 4-2-2 succeeding as well. So maybe just to see the way he goes about it, the way we do it, to see some similarities, to see where they differ, and that's been a pretty cool journey. And it's still a battle I'm yet to win with BJ. So maybe there's an open.
I was going to say they've had your number a little bit this year. I do hope that would be a nice Eastern Conference final there.
Yeah. If the playoffs started today, Watching that pretty closely. See who the Union will play. They'll be the number 1 seed in the East, number 1 seed in Major League Soccer. If they make MLS Cup, you will be on the shore of the Delaware come the first week of December watching Bradley Carnell's team. Bradley, thank you so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it. Congratulations. And, of course, Rock Chalk.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you guys. Take care.
Appreciate you, man. Good luck in the playoffs.
Thank you.
Oh, and next time we're gonna have to get those South Johannesburg stories. I have a feeling there's some good ones that could come out from Bradley Carnell. He was saying people didn't want to come down there. People didn't want to see us. Let's stick on the Union before we walk away here, and let's focus it in on MLS Cup. I want to do a little buying and selling action on your MLS Cup favorites. What are you buying about the Union right now in terms of being a favorite to win MLS Cup?
You want to go first, Dax?
No, you go, Brad.
He was the seller. We'll let him come in second, Brad.
For me, I'm buying. I just like who they are defensively. I like that they defend as a team. Bradley Carnell spoke about them, within the top groups of goals conceded. And then obviously, me being a forward, every game I watch them, they look like they're always going to score goals. Now, when you marry those two together, that's a difficult team to beat. And then you're talking about depth, players they can bring in off the bench. We've seen Wiebe lately on the bench. This is their top goal scorer. But guys that come in can replace him, Ura, Damiani. They brought in Iloski, which is one of the best signings you could bring in, especially going into the postseason. They just seem to have a lot going for them, Weebs.
Yeah, I'm buying their spine. Sorry, Wiebe. I have to say,
no, you're good.
I doubted them for sure, and I think it was easy to doubt them because of what they lost. And there was, unless you were the most staunch Philadelphia Union follower, supporter, or even in the front office, I think it was almost impossible to see that losing a Jack McGlynn, losing a Julian Carranza, and losing a Jose Martinez and a Jack Elliott, you would actually get better with the replacements. And that's no disrespect to any of the guys they lost, all great players in their own right. But anyone who said that they had Jovan Lukic and Donley Jean-Jacques as a top 3 or 4 midfield pairing in Major League Soccer is crazy. And then Oluwatu Makanya, for me, is an MLS Defender of the Year candidate alongside Glesnes. You look at that box, Brad, in the middle of the field. That is one of the strongest spines in Major League Soccer, and it's one that I drastically underestimated. But you have to like their chances to go on and make a run at the double and win MLS Cup because of how good they are at home and because of that spine. Everything else will fall into place. Their attacking options with Iloski now, even with who they traded for, Indiana Vasilev. He's been great this year. Well. So you have a spine to start with. It's elite. And then everyone else, you're getting contributions from up and down the roster to go along with great coaching. The Union are really hard to pick against.
I'm not selling, so don't take me here like I'm shipping off my assets here. I'm just going to present the other side because we've argued this all year long with Philly. Their record against the best teams in the league or playoff caliber teams, it's not as sparkling as a record against the teams at the bottom of the table. But listen, you be who you're playing. The issue for me is now you're playing the best. And the best almost exclusively now are going to have better quote-unquote star players. And Philly don't care. It doesn't matter to them. They don't look at their roster and your roster and say, oh, you have the stars, we're intimidated. That won't be the case. But when it comes down to one moment, when the games get super tight, who are you going to bet on? Are you going to bet on, let's just say for Nashville's sake, you're going to bet on Hani Mukhtar. You're going to bet on Lionel Messi. Are you going to bet on Evander? Like in the big moments, I wonder what will happen. And they've done it by committee, and there's no reason to think they can't.
Wiebe, it's a great point. And we had this debate because Kevin Egan was saying, is there anything you can find to pick at with Philly? And we both were like, not really, but maybe that lack of a pure out-and-out match winner, a guy who you say, we're giving you the ball, go win us the game. I think Philly, the collective, is one of the strongest in the league. But to your point about Evander, Messi, Hani, they don't really have someone like that who stands head and shoulders above the rest of the group. And so if they do go down, who do they rely on? That's maybe the only chink in the armor I see.
Hey, but we're just picking. We're just picking at them.
Like they've done all season. Yeah, we are just trying to find something.
That's the business, right? That's the talking heads out here. Let me give you this. How about this? I'm giving you all the money in the world. I'm saying you got to put this on one team to win cup. Who's it going to be, Dax? Who's your favorite? Who are you buying the most out of the entire league?
Oh,
he's going to say what I'm going to say.
That's a great question. I picked FC Cincinnati before the season to win MLS Cup, and I'm going to stick with Cincinnati strictly because I really like what I've seen in the last couple of weeks from Evander, Denke, and Brenner. Brenner gives them a little bit of an X factor, and he gives them a little bit more of what I would call composure, guile around the goal, just that extra element of quality that I just think they've been missing. And they've had good contributions from Dado Valenzuela. Kai Kamara's come in. He's been a great asset to bring it off the bench, to hold the ball up, to make unselfish runs. But I want a proven third goal-scoring option on my team. So I'm sticking with Cincinnati. I just think that there's something about Pat Noonan and what he is going to be able to unlock with them in the playoffs. I think they haven't really played their best yet this season. Now, the caveat is I hope they get Matt Miazga back healthy, because he's, dealt with a little bit of an injury here. But going into the playoffs, I find it really hard to doubt Cincy, especially if they get Miazga and Wobodo back. I talk about that spine. I really like Cincy or Philly to come out of the East, and I like whoever wins that to win.
Those two
all right, Cincy, Brad, who you got?
Yeah, those two players Dax just mentioned, Miazga and Wobodo, very important, but they just don't control games enough. And when you get into those later stages and you need to be in control, if it's 0-0, I don't trust them enough. I'll be honest, I'm in the West, man. I'm torn between LAFC and Vancouver. Since Muller's come in, Vancouver, I think.
Hey, get untorn, bro. Get untorn. We're not splitting our bucks here. Okay.
You got a gun to my head now, LAFC, man. That firepower, I just can't.
That recency bias, it's pulling Brad strong.
You've seen what I've been seeing in that studio.
It's
my
ridiculous.
Eyes deceive me. That is a very scary front two. I wouldn't want to see that in a final.
I completely agree. I don't think they're going to get to the final, so it doesn't matter. That's because the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Who are you going with, Wiebe?
Put it, all of it. Put it all on the Whitecaps for the story, for the team, for the Thomas Mueller recency bias as well. From day one, this has been one of the best stories in Major League Soccer, not just of 2025, all time. The Vancouver Whitecaps were literally up for sale. They fired their most successful coach in the history of their club, the only coach that had brought them any playoff success whatsoever, and somehow Jesper Sorensen comes in and completely turns this around from minute one. And not just in MLS, in CONCACAF Champions Cup, gets to the final. There's nobody in this league other than LAFC that has reached that final and not completely fallen flat on their face. The Vancouver Whitecaps should have done it. They didn't. They didn't do it without Ryan Gauld, and then they just kept rolling and getting better and better and better. They know exactly who they are. To go back to the Philadelphia Union side, they've got, I think, outside son, and he might be right there with him, the most influential player in the league right now in Thomas Mueller, and the vibes are absolutely immaculate. I mean, they could not be better. You saw the dog pile this weekend, yeah? I mean, the game-winning goal is good. This is good. Like, Orlando, maybe defend, maybe try to close him down.
You got to close that man down.
Orlando,
this is
you might want to close down one of the best goal scorers in Europe for the last 10 years. But
what's it feel like at the bottom of this pile, boys? How much pressure is on Thomas Mueller right now?
You're panicking here. This ain't a great feeling. I promise you. It looks good, but if you're at the bottom of that, you're like, yo.
I think.
I disagree.
No,
look at these vibes, man.
This is class. You know that locker room. You know that locker room is amazing.
This guy is just a vibe, Thomas Mueller. I will say though,
it's just amazing.
It's incredible the energy that he has brought to this club. And first of all, I wasn't ever skeptical of Thomas Mueller and his production in Major League Soccer, but his first couple of games, his production was all penalties. And I was thinking, come on, Thomas, I want to see more. I want to see more. And now I've seen more. And to be fair, Brad, there was only one time where I was ever at the bottom of that pile. And it was when I scored the game winner against Real Salt Lake back in, I think it was 2013, crazy game at Red Bull Arena. I got dogpiled. And I got to say, it was quite nice. I was never the one that was shown that much love because I don't score that many goals. But I felt pretty good about it. I think Thomas Mueller, what he's added to that locker room, I liken it to a little bit about when Bastian Schweinsteiger came into Chicago, because different parts of the season, of course. But I was actually at a U.S. men's national team camp when he had his first couple training sessions. And I had seen the press conferences, and I texted a couple of guys on the side and just said, hey, what's the vibe with Schweinsteiger? And they just said, you would not believe how cool this guy is. You would not believe how thoughtful and generous he is about his time and about asking and trying to learn about everyone in the locker room, and just really like the humility with which he came into the locker room and brought everyone together. I see a lot of similarities with Thomas Muller, because there have been DPs, and we know this, Brad, there have been DPs that have come into the league and they have this kind of arrogance about them where they're a little bit maybe above the locker room and above the team. They're still good guys, but maybe they don't make as much of an effort. Thomas Muller, it's like the bromance with Sebastian Berhalter right now is off the charts. It's like every post-game interview, they're doing it together. It's like they can't do one individually, right? And so everything you're hearing coming out of Vancouver, I love the shout from Wiebe. I do think that they are a team that nobody wants to see in the postseason, specifically LAFC too.
They've got magic. I mean, to go to your point, and Brad, and then we'll get you on DPs that have influenced you that way. Did you see the moment at halftime with Thomas Muller and Ralph Priso, who's been asked now because of the center back issues for Vancouver to play in a different position? Muller finds him at halftime in the tunnel, wraps him up in a hug, and is talking him through stuff, like literally holding his elbow. Imagine you're Ralph Priso, and you have Thomas Muller fully invested in your performance, your ability, your confidence, everything. And that goes outside of like, this dude's going fishing. He's going to the golf course. He's going to basketball games and hockey games with the boys. He's going to bars in Vancouver and asking them to put on Apple TV. He is the ultimate lad, Brad. Like I guarantee you and him, thick as thieves, bro. Thick as thieves. A pint or three and you're off and running.
He looks hard to hate.
Brad's way too boring for Muller. Muller would not want to hang out
with Brad. That's a lie. I'm not going to put my business out here live on YouTube, but that's a lie. You know I'm very fun. But that's the effect that you want from a DP. I think we often look at DPs, what they've done in Europe, and you just want numbers. You want bangers of goals. But that what you're talking about with Priso, putting your arm around a player, that goes a long way in a dressing room. You don't want a DP that comes into your locker room that you're scared of, that you cannot talk to, that you don't want to hold accountable. You need those players that they can talk to you. They look in your face. They teach you every day on the training ground. And also when times are hard or when they're good, you have a real relationship with those kind of people. And that's why you see Vancouver even excelling more than they were before he got there. What a human being.
Brad, do you have moments in your career where, sorry, Wiebe, I just want to ask quickly with Brad and Thierry, because I think with Sebastian Berhalter specifically, there was a moment in that post-game interview in Orlando where Thomas Muller, he was searching for the words to describe the first half that he saw from Berhalter. And he didn't want to throw him under the bus, but he said he essentially he wanted more. And he wanted to push him to be better and to get on the ball, and said, don't hide. It was almost like he was saying, you're too good.
You're better than what you're showing.
Yes, you are better than what you're showing. Did you have moments with Thierry? Because I know you and Thierry have a really close relationship, and I know he's a big influence on you. Did you have moments where, because you guys were so close, he could push you and he could prod you a little bit to get more from you?
100%. And what Muller did, Thierry wouldn't do. Thierry is one of those, he doesn't hold, any punches. And I'm not saying they're different people, obviously, but Thierry's going to say to me, there's games I scored 2 goals, and I'll come off the pitch and say, Thierry would say, no, I don't think that was good enough. And in the beginning, you kind of you're like, what? I just got a brace. But he's like, no, you could have had a hat trick. Also, you didn't hold up the ball well in this play. And that improved me as a player. I think a lot of people got Thierry's personality wrong. I was one of those players that needed it. I was used to being spoke to like that. I got older brothers, an older brother, my dad played. So I was used to that. And Thierry's realness, his willingness to coach me on the pitch, coach me at training, have honest phone calls with me and conversations, took my game to another level.
I mean, it's the level of investment. You saw that from Thierry and the way that translated the Red Bulls results and got them a shield. You're seeing the same thing with Thomas Muller in Vancouver, and he came into a team that was already on that sort of pace. We're definitely seeing that now with Son Heung-min, who came into an LAFC team that they were not bad, but they were not at these heights just yet. And I was in LA a number of times the last couple of weeks. I was around Son. His contagiousness to the training facility is crazy. Denny Bouanga's doing a sit-down interview with me, and Son Heung-min is plastered to the to the window in front of us, banging his face on the window in the middle of the interview to try to get them going. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but downtown LA is starting to be plastered with Son Heung-min as well. There are some murals going up ahead of the playoffs. This is high art. Fellas, this is high art for a man who, by the way, this weekend just became the all-time caps leader with South Korea.
Congrats to Son on that, but this is crazy. The guy's been here 8 weeks, I think. He's already got a mural. Do you know how many channels I had to run in Harrison? What are we doing, Red Bull fans? What are we doing, man? Can I get one of these? This is beautiful.
That is sick. Do you guys? I think if I remember correctly, when Zlatan got to LA with the Galaxy, he took out a full-page ad right?
Yes.
And it was essentially something like, hey, you're welcome. I'm here now.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like, Son, he's like the total opposite, right? The humble, quiet superstar who has a mural up of him now in downtown LA. I mean, just it's a guy who I think has taken the league by storm. And I think from my perspective, I always believed that he would be a transcendent, transformational type of signing for the league. But even now, I'm still kind of blown away by the impact that he's had on the field and off the field. Like, I still think it's hard for me to wrap my head around how good and how big of a player he is. I mean, honestly, it's John Thorrington can't get enough credit for being able to move on from Olivier Giroud, which didn't work out, and it didn't work, to have the humility to say, look, this isn't going to work, to Giroud for being a classy guy and saying, it's not working for me, I'm going to go back, and you replace him with what I'm certain will go down as one of the best signings in Major League Soccer history. The impact he's had is just incredible.
Trundle was telling me.
As an avid Arsenal fan, sorry, Weebs,
I've
spent a lot of years hating on Roman. Hating. But you can see from far what kind of person he was, what kind of player. You saw his connection with Harry Kane. And so for me, to just enjoy who he is now as a football player is unbelievable. The mural completely deserved. He's lit up this league in a short amount of time.
I was talking to Trundle and Thorrington in LA, and they were saying this is years in the process. Like, we always knew that this was a guy we wanted. The profile fit for the way we wanted to play. You just never know when the Venn diagram is going to line up. It's lined up for LAFC, and they're off and running. By the way, they are in Colorado on decision day. Denny Bouanga trying to win the Golden Boot. They're trying to get some seeding in the Western Conference. They can't get up to first, but they could get up to second in the West. Let's talk D-Day. Remember, coverage on MLS Season Pass starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. MLS Countdown, full 90 minutes there to get you ready for what is, I think, the best day of the regular season, the very final day. All the Eastern Conference games go down at 6, all the Western Conference games at 9. In between, through all of that, the through line is MLS 360, all the goals, live standings, everything you need to know as it happens, then MLS wrap-up to end the night. I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to be watching everything. That's the nature of the beast. But what is the one game you are going to have your eye on? The one game that you're just that extra bit curious and excited about? Dax, we'll start with you.
I mean, I don't want to steal Brad's answer here. I know it's tough for him to think on his toes. You know,
You're a snake.
We're giving him time. We're giving him a little runway here.
It's clear, Wiebe. I've got my eye on Vancouver FC Dallas. It has implications on both ends of the table in the Western Conference. Vancouver, with just a point, will be able to clinch the top spot in the West and hold field advantage all the way up until MLS Cup. And FC Dallas hanging on by a thread to one of those play-in game spots. But with, as you see here on the table, with Salt Lake, Colorado, San Jose all kind of nipping at their heels, and FC Dallas missing Logan Farrington and Petar Musa. I mean, Eric Quill has done a great job ever since Lucho Acosta has left, but this will easily, without question, be the biggest game that he's ever going to have to coach in the regular season. It's got implications on both ends of the table. I've certainly got my eye on that one. That is a massive game out west.
All right, you had time to tap dance, Brad. Where you going, bro?
And I'm still on the fence. Listen to me. I'm going to change the rules of this game. I'm not looking at one game. I can't, because the 8, 9, 10, and 12 spot, for me, if I'm looking at it, there's 4 teams. The 4 teams is, what is it? Dallas, RSL, San Jose,
Colorado, Salt Lake.
Fighting for 2 spots, Wiebe. I can't go into decision day not looking at all of those games. I will say, I think 3 of those teams are going to lose, and I think San Jose are going to get in there. And I don't know if I'm saying this because at the beginning of the season, they brought a bunch of players.
They wanted them in there.
Yeah. So I'm kind of rooting for them, but I have to watch those 4 games, Wiebe. I think that's going to be so interesting.
Wiebe, I've got a couple more because Brad's not doing his homework. I've got my eye on that 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. The top 3 seeds are pretty much secure.
It's shaken out, yeah.
Secure.
Who wins it?
You have Nashville.
Who could go up or down, by the way. Nashville could drop down into the wild card game. That's possible.
You have Nashville, New York City, and Charlotte. I've got my eye on those 3 teams, and they all have really, really difficult games. Charlotte has to host the Supporter Shield champions in Philly. New York City has to play the Seattle Sounders, and Nashville has to host Inter Miami. Messi going for that Golden Boot and that MVP. All 3 of those games are going to be fascinating. If Charlotte ends up winning, they're going to secure a top 4 seed and home field advantage, which we know how good they are at the bank. So I've got my eye on the West. I've got my eye on the East. There's so many fascinating storylines. I'm excited about the day. It's going to be a long day, but it's going to be incredible.
Some season for Charlotte. Only a few weeks ago we were talking about it maybe, in the Shield race and that. This is a great job by Dean Smith, but them playing at home, I think I have Charlotte just keeping that 4th spot.
Yeah.
You missed one. There's a big game here we haven't talked about. I mean, there's silverware on the line on Saturday.
Here we go.
So listen, I know that you guys don't rate it. I know it's not something that you necessarily want to.
Is it the Trillium Cup?
Well, no, it's the wooden spoon, boys. It's the wooden spoon. And thank you to Whiplash Liquor on Reddit for giving us this meme. The LA Galaxy have managed to actually pull ahead. They can no longer win the wooden spoon by tiebreaker. So it's DC United in the proverbial lead, with Atlanta United trying to fall apart and chase them down. They're facing each other on decision day. The two Shield contenders, Shield, what am I talking about? Spoon contenders are facing each other. Who wins the spoon? What do you got?
That spoon has DC United written all over it. It should be bigger, specifically because I hope we also get to touch on a legend of the game. But the only interest I have in the Atlanta United DC game is Mr. Brad Guzan, one of my favorite teammates I've ever had. One of the best captains I've ever had, one of the best American goalkeepers that we have ever seen play in Major League Soccer, has just today recently announced his retirement. And my ode to Brad, I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet. One of my favorite teammates I've ever had. I was with him on the national team for a few camps and then all last year with Atlanta United. You cannot find a better person, a better advocate for the game in the United States, spent a majority of his career over in England with Aston Villa. And then he came back and he's still in the top 10 of most goalkeeping categories in Major League Soccer. Good. I think it speaks to his longevity. It speaks to his quality. It speaks to his commitment that he tore his Achilles and he was able to come back and still play at his best. And my fondest memory of Brad Guzan will always be him in a fight with the net last year in the playoffs. He had an absolutely otherworldly performance. He basically carried us through those MLS Cup playoffs. And by the way, that's the biggest upset in MLS Cup playoff history as far as discrepancy between two teams. And Brad was amazing. And he got pushed into the net specifically because of how great he was. And I will never forget that. I got to tell you guys, I spent literally an hour in my hotel room after that game. My kids had come to the game. My kids were sleeping. I was chuckling like a little schoolboy in the bathroom, watching just that clip on repeat. And so, Brad, salute to you, brother, on a fantastic career. Love you, buddy. Enjoy retirement.
No, a great career for Brad Guzan, man. Only congrats for that, man. My bald brother. Enjoy it after, man. Enjoy the last game of the season. A lot of similarities
here. Bald brother, first name. There's really,
good people, man. Good people. Great characters. Congrats, Brad.
He's this guy with a great career. And Brad's like, look, shout out to my bald brother.
Hey, man. It's real.
I got to say, I'm curious from your guys' perspective on something like this, because we've seen Darlington and it's that time of year, and now we see Brad. What are these moments before and after you make that decision like? What were they like for you as you mulled over whether it was time and then actually made the decision? What was the emotional sort of journey like in your cases?
I think for me, I've heard stories with people kind of struggling with the decision. I felt for me, being in Columbus, away from my family, they were still in LA at the time. I'd scored 1 goal in the season, 2 in all competitions. I just knew I wasn't myself. I wasn't enjoying going into training every day, doing the gym, having an iPad tell me, you've not done enough work today or you've done too much. I just felt like I was ready, Wiebe. So I didn't really struggle with it. I got lucky straight away after this. The Apple gig comes along. So I go straight into, work. So for me, it was clear as day. I didn't really struggle or think twice.
Yeah, I had a lot of peace when it came down to my decision, Wiebe. I last year I had thought a lot at the beginning of the season, would this be my last year or not? And I was already going into the season thinking that I was going to be able to hang up the boots after my time with Atlanta United after 1 season. And so I think the first real difficult thing to kind of come to grips with is the acceptance that your career is going to come to an end. And the thing that you've been doing, and as far as Guz's, in terms of Guz, in terms of BWP, in terms of myself, something that we have come so used to doing for upwards of 20 years, right? The longevity, I think, that the three of us were able to have in our careers, and then to have the realization that it will no longer be your reality. The hardest part is accepting that. And once you do, it's very easy to be at peace with the decision. It takes a little bit of time for sure, but I'm happy that I announced it when I did. So I was able to just kind of play with freedom, play without pressure. I went into every training session in every game, knowing exactly what I wanted to get out of it. And then the last part is just going out on your own terms. That's what I love about what Darlington's doing, what Guz is doing. They're going out on their own terms, just like I did. You have someone else that controls your career, basically, but from the time you sign a contract until the time you're done. The only time you get control of that is if you're like, you know what, I'm going to walk away, and I have no regrets about that decision. So, we've seen a lot of legends retire in the last couple of weeks. This has been a tough one to accept.
Yeah, a little one shining moment coming through. A couple tears. You got to wipe them away here. You had the big Guz in the net as a memory. Is there another one that sticks out to you over your time in Atlanta or the national team, Dax, that you either laugh about or you're amazed about?
Yeah, there's not one that really sticks out. To be completely honest, it's not one specific one because Brad and we had so many interactions. There was one where we had an appearance together. We were shooting something. I forgot who it was for, and we got to go out on a lake together with me, Brad, and Tim Howard. And we were supposed to just be having a chat, and they were filming something for talking about leadership. And we were fishing, and we were all casting our nets out. And we weren't catching a thing. I mean, it was
you were catching your nets? You were casting nets?
Sorry, casting our lines out. Our lines out. I apologize.
Commercial fisherman, Dax McCarty, Tim Howard.
My bad. Yeah. We were casting our lines out, and Brad thought he caught something, and so he's like reeling it in. He's like, I got one. Cameraman runs over there, and he had caught it just like a big log. That was it. That was all he caught. Nothing crazy. Just a big log. That was it. It wasn't a fish. And then we had so many good chats. You have your best chats in the in the cold tub room, in the hydro room. So we would be in the cold tub just pontificating about life and about the season and about what comes next and about family, and just a really great guy, easy guy to talk to, easy guy to get along with, easy guy to banter with. But he never quite got rid of that fake English accent, Brad. And so you always got to rib him a little bit for that fake English accent.
He's a smart man. He knows just the best accent. Daxy, quick one for you. Might put you on the spot here. Where does he rank US goalkeepers? You jump into as an American.
That's a tough one because goalkeeper is a position that the U.S. was stacked with. I think in terms of pure ability and pure talent, I think he's up there with the best of them. He's got to be in the top 3 or top 4. But unfortunately for Brad, he was also a goalkeeper during the time of the golden generation of goalkeepers. Yeah,
timing was tough for him.
Timing was tough for him because he was behind one of the best goalkeepers of all time in Tim Howard. He was young when Casey Keller and Brad Friedel were kind of finishing up their time. And so I put him in that pantheon right under those 3. So I'll give him top 4. And if he would have been born in a different era, he would have, well over 100 caps.
When you talk about the best
is that fair,
goalkeepers,
Wiebe?
I think we talk about the best goalkeepers in U.S. history. I think you absolutely put Brad Guzan in there with that caveat of like, hey, you just got unlucky, dude. Like you were sitting behind an all-time talent in terms of Tim Howard, and once that hierarchy is created, it's hard to break through it. It's like that position is different. So when Tim is at the height of his powers, you had to accept a different role for long periods. And I think that goes to a credit to Brad as well, because he was able to accept and thrive in that role and then step in when needed, but then also be the number 1 for Aston Villa, for other illustrious clubs such as Chivas USA. So what an incredible career and an ability for him to kind of go between and thrive at every level.
Shout out to Brad's time at Chivas USA. It was the last time he had hair.
Elite.
And then he got over to England. Shock, he went bald.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Elite. I would pay for some of the stories between him and Sasha and those young Chivas USA lads back in the day. But congratulations to Brad Guzan on an amazing career. 21 years, so much accomplished, so much won as well. So congrats to him. Congrats to you, Dax, and congrats to me. Listen, the subs came in. I think we kept the level high here.
Killed it.
We might be permanent.
One is funny this week.
Wiebe.
No, it wasn't as funny this week, but we got through it, man. Well done.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's tolerable.
Absolutely better.
Tolerable is enough, I guess, for Bradley Wright-Phillips. Big thanks to Bradley Carnell, all the Bradleys on the show for joining us. Big Union Supporters Shield victory. Now they turn their attention to the playoffs. But first, decision day on Saturday. Coverage starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on MLS Season Pass with countdown straight into East games, into the West games, and then to wrap up with MLS 360, your through line throughout. We're out of here on This Is MLS. Subscribe, like us, get in the comment section. We'll see you every Tuesday, folks. Adios.
See you later.